Good morning, everybody. Welcome to We Didn't Start the Fire News.
JFK was very influential president, from being the first Catholic president to creating laws to end segregation in interstate travel facilities. It was breaking news when John F. Kennedy was assassinated on Friday, November 22nd, 1963.
The Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas at 1 p.m. happened right here in Texas. And now to the horrific footage.
The 35th President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, is declared dead at Parkland Hospital's trauma room.
Sad day, guys.
Oswald is charged later that evening with the murder of President John F. Kennedy and Officer J.D. Tippit.
Pope Paul became the leader of the Catholic Church in 1963 in Rome. Happened approximately right here in Italy. Okay.
Malcolm X, a civil rights activist, had a rough life as his mother was institutionalized as insane. Malcolm grew up in foster homes. He was discouraged in school from wanting to become a lawyer because his white teacher said it wasn't a realistic goal for black people. He quit school and drifted through menial jobs until he was arrested for burglary and sent to prison for 10 years. There, Malcolm Little became an avid reader and soon converted to Islam. After leaving prison, he worked for the Nation of Islam, also called the Black Muslims in the popular press. He then changed his name to Malcolm X to quote-unquote drop his slave name.
What an interesting story there. Malcolm was later assassinated by black Muslim activists at the Dubon Ballroom in Harlem. He was 39 at the time.
A sex scandal rocked British Parliament. Secretary of State of War John Permulo was highly respected and married, but after it was discovered that he had several-week affair with a showgirl named Christine Keeler, he was forced by resign.
Well, it was also found out that Keller had also had a relationship with the senior naval attaché at the Soviet embassy in London, which happened right here in London. And now back to Trevor.
Another big event was the invention of birth control and the legalization of abortions, which caused a lot of fuss, as you can imagine.
Thank God for birth control.
After losing the election for President John F. Kennedy in 1960 and then losing his bid to be governor of California in 1962, former Vice President Richard Nixon fought back to regain in the nation policies. One interesting thing he did was to be a guest on the popular television comedy show Laugh In. Nixon repeated the show running gag line, "Sock it to me." A number of times it gave the impression that he was not super dull person after all. Nixon was elected president in 1968.
He also tried becoming governor of California. You can see right here the state. And now back to Derek.
Supporters and staff of the U.S. President Richard Nixon were accused of breaking into the Democrat headquarters at the Watergate Hotel. Nixon tried to cover up the fact, and soon he forced to resign from office because the cover-up. Several of his staff members were sent to prison as the result of the affair.
Now that happened right here in New York, and in other news, punk rock hits the music scene with such groups as Sex Pistols, who would spite at the audience, and that happened, that affected the whole U.S. there. And back to you guys.
Well, that closes it up for the day. We'll talk to you guys next week as we did not start the fire.
No.
Control, Ho Chi Minh, Richard Nixon, back again, moonshot.